It's just, if you're joining us finally for the first time, if you're hearing this on the podcast, Chris and I had a failure of a live stream on Substack Live where Chris monologued by himself. So here we are talking about all of this for the first time, and about the Emmy nominations, which, do we want to do any top highlights before we jump into it? Severance got the most nominations with 27.
Severance got the most nominations with 27. Let's see.
And I never would have guessed the second most nominated show. Are you looking at the same list I am?
Yes.
Penguin.
Yes.
The Penguin. I never did not see that coming whatsoever. Although I guess it had a lot of technical stuff going for it. Any other top level takeaways before we get into some of these categories that maybe get announced live on the show?
Yeah, Severance with 27 is a crazy amount. The record I think is 33, right, for Game of Thrones. So that's an incredible amount of nominations and a huge. I think it pretty much doubled the nomination. It had 14 nominations in season 1. So clearly, and we'll find out. I'm gonna scroll down. We'll see the supporting. I'm sure it got a lot of acting nominations as well. White Lotus 23, great. Last of Us with only 16 nominations. That's a big drop from season 1.
Yeah,
where it had over 20. Andor with 14 nominations, and I know make you happy.
Oh, very happy. Although Diego Luna getting snubbed, I was bummed to see that. It's always hard for me to see as they're announcing the list of people who actually made it in or who I was expecting. But Diego Luna stuck out to me right there.
A lot of these people, I feel like they got crunched by the numbers, right? We saw Selena Gomez got snubbed, Diego Luna got snubbed, Steve Martin got snubbed, and there were only 5 for the lead actors. There's only 5 slots. If there was 6, you'll argue these people would have probably gotten in. Comedy-wise, the studio led with 23 nominations, not a surprise based on its technical proficiency and its cast, and we'll see how it did there. Hacks with 14, which I think is actually less than it got for season 3.
Yeah, I'm looking at the guest comedy nominees, which is where Hacks would often show up. 5 people nominated for playing themselves on the studio.
Wow.
In the guest actor in a comedy series category.
Wow.
6 total. John Bernthal is the one person. Actually, I'm sorry. Bryan Cranston does not play himself on the studio, and he's one of those nominees. But Dave Franco, Ron Howard, Anthony Mackie, who actually I think was really underrated in that Ron Howard episode.
He was great.
And Martin Scorsese. So
sure.
Strong group right there. I wonder if that's the studio kind of eating Hacks' lunch a little bit right there.
Definitely a little bit. And then and The Bear only 13 nominations for its divisive season 3 after it had 23 nominations, a record for season 2. So we expected that to drop, and then it did. So do you want to I don't know. I'm looking at these comedy, the supporting actress and actor categories. I was
okay. All right. So the supporting actor in a comedy was kind of my favorite thing to think about not knowing what was going to happen.
You talked about this in the newsletter,
and we knew there were going to be surprises. But did you ever see Jeff Hiller for Somebody Somewhere being what that surprise was going to be? What a thrill!
Absolute thrill. Somebody Somewhere is a show that had a small but passionate fan base, right? People loved it. Very great. And again, another numbers crunch thing where Bridget Everett, not nominated in lead actress, but maybe based 5. On this, maybe she would have been actually the 6th ahead of Selena Gomez, because Jeff Miller getting in is a big shock, right?
Yeah.
Shrinking gets Michael Urie and Harrison Ford. So Harrison Ford now an Emmy nominee.
Michael Urie in there, and Harrison Ford weirdly snubbed. Coleman Domingo for Your Beloved the Four Seasons.
So really we talked about this, how he was so famous, he would just get in because he's Coleman Domingo, and perhaps that's true because there we go.
I'm trying to think of who I predicted in that cat because I definitely did not predict Jeff Hiller, so I'm trying to remember who I predicted would be in there instead. But that's a great one.
I had Tyler James Williams for Abbott, who was snubbed here, and we talked about
Paul Downs for Hacks.
And Paul Downs also
I thought he
snubbed.
Was a guarantee.
So shocking that Paul Downs missed, especially because I thought he was really funny in season 4 of Hacks.
Absolutely.
And no Tyler James Williams, who had been getting in previously for Abbott. So it shows that maybe they're moving off Abbott fully. Overall, it only had...
But also, Janelle James and Cheryl Lee Ralph both got in for Abbott in supporting actress, which I remember I wasn't so sure that they would have the strength to keep going with that. So, but they're also, kind of icons at this point. So maybe that's not a huge surprise.
Supporting actress in a comedy was Liza Clone-Zayas, who won for The Bear last year back. Hannah Einbinder for Hacks. Catherine Hahn for The Studio, which was great. Catherine Hahn is so funny in The Studio. Janelle James, Catherine O'Hara, who is a double nominee because she's obviously nominated for Last of Us, which you talked about as a possibility. Cheryl Lee Ralph for Abbott, and Jessica Williams for Shrinking, her second nomination for the show. I thought they were going to... I love Jessica Williams. I was I feel bad having gone off of her. So if you didn't see this, I apologize for not predicting you, but I was I don't
just
know.
kind of feel like Shrinking was going to have a good run here, and
It did.
we can talk in general about Apple, like having a pretty good day, like getting it, like strong performance for Slow Horses, strong for the studio, like Shrinking really came back up. Disclaimer, like I said earlier. So, they're watching these Apple shows, it seems.
They are. And I think that bodes well, especially for shows that didn't show up here, but for season 2, like Your Friends and Neighbors, which I love. But I was like, again, I think if there was
Ooh,
more room
yeah.
for it, season 2, it could maybe come back in John Hamm.
Did Your Friends and Neighbors get fully snubbed?
I didn't look through the full list yet, but I would
It's
assume yes. It's over the
nominated
line, it
for
did.
main title theme music.
Great.
And that's it. Wow.
Yeah,
That
I'm not
is
surprised, but
I guess John Hamm was really kind of their big play there. So
yeah.
maybe not the
And again,
biggest
with the
surprise.
lesser spots, it's just really hurts.
Yeah. Oh, should we do
So that
supporting actor and actress in drama, since
oh yeah, because these
that
are
was just
great.
like a bloodbath? I mean, it's like if you're not on The White Lotus, Severance, The Pit, or Paradise, good luck to you, because that is all they had room for in the drama
Well,
categories this year.
so the Paradise nominations were a shock, really, because
Hmm.
you had talked about this. Julianne Nicholson now a double nominee because she's obviously nominee for
That is
Hacks.
okay. The fact that Sarah Polley didn't get the Guest Actress nomination for the studio, which is an outrage, it's made up for with Julianne Nicholson getting it for Hacks as well as for Paradise. She's so good on both of those shows.
And so clearly, what this says to me is that like the Paradise nomination for drama series, which was maybe in doubt as like against a bigger show like a Squid Game, which was obviously so popular and had the visibility. I feel like the actors really supported Paradise, right? Because you got 3
Yeah.
acting nominations for Paradise, which to me means like the actors really liked it. So like
Yeah.
that's it.
Well,
And that's
and
how it gets
Paradise,
in.
produced in LA, much like The Pit,
Hmm.
so it had that going for us, unlike The White Lotus and Severance.
Yes.
I mean, okay, so this Zach Cherry getting a Severance nomination finally, wonderful to see.
We talked about that, I feel like,
Yeah,
when we did our predictions, that like he felt like someone who could pop because if they love Severance, they're gonna like a lot of times with Emmy voters, they watch one show, then they just vote down the line. So Zach
yeah,
Cherry is like the Nicholas Braun of Severance, basically,
yes.
right? And he just gets in.
Although I feel like we thought that might happen for The White Lotus, but The White Lotus comes in with 3 for Walton Goggins, Jason Isaacs, and Sam Rockwell, who are the 3 who I would have predicted to be in there. I guess that's Patrick Schwarzenegger and Sam Nivola missing out are the main ones who we might have
Patrick
seen there.
Schwarzenegger would have probably gotten in, I guess, if not for James Marsden, because everybody else feels like
Yeah,
pretty set there. Trammell
yeah,
Tillman and John Turturro. So now I'll be curious to see who actually ends up. Severance is so with 27 nominations, it's clearly like the show, right, for this group.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
does that mean like Trammell Tillman could win this category over what we had assumed was like Walton Goggins, right? Because
Yeah,
like
and I had been really high on The Pit as being like the show and like being, something people were maybe sleeping on. And I think it did very well here, but Catherine Lanasa being the only supporting nominee, it's just her and Noah Wiley who made it in for The Pit for acting, like is a little surprising to me.
it's a little surprising, but I would argue great news for Catherine Lanasa because here you have Amy Lou Wood, Natasha Rothwell got in for White Lotus again, Parker Posey, and Carrie Coon. Again, the
Yeah.
expectation is Carrie Coon is going to win, but all 4 of those White Lotus people could kind of cancel themselves out.
Yeah.
Then you have Patricia Arquette for Severance, Julianne Nicholson for Paradise, Catherine Lanasa for The Pit. What if Catherine Lanasa just wins, right?
That would be incredible. Catherine Lanasa, I talked to her for the Prestige Junkie newsletter a little while ago. Absolutely wonderful. Classic, like, working actor, getting her big break, like, into her 50s. It's like Liza Colin-Theus, a really similar story
Yes,
as someone who's
exactly.
maybe you made this comparison already. No, I mean, these 2 supporting categories had been, like, the big bloodbath that we were all kind of, like, anticipating. So, I mean, a little surprising, but not so much that it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot. It's funny, like the White Lotus. Yeah, no Patrick Schwarzenegger, no Leslie Bibb, which I was kind of disappointed because I really thought she was great and she really
Yeah.
campaigned, and it felt like people enjoyed her. But I think she just got like
There's just too
Natasha
many
Roth.
people on the White Lotus.
Yeah, I mean Natasha Rothwell getting in, like that makes sense, obviously, because she was a nominee previously, and so there you go. And
Yeah.
the surprise there is Julianne Nicholson, but clearly, like we said, like they watch Paradise, and Hulu did an amazing job hammering the ground for Paradise. I feel like so.
Yeah.
And then we had limited series supporting actors. Oh no, Katey went dark again, but I'm hoping she's still there. She's still there. Are you still there, Katey?
Hang on, no, I'm still here. I hit the wrong button.
Oh no, I was getting flashbacks
I
to the
know.
live stream earlier because
Well,
it was
and
so
I'm
challenging.
realizing that I have not been recording myself properly for the podcast track. So, Brett, I'm just gonna have to send you my apologies. I'm just gonna pause for a second, open a new GarageBand track.
Go for it. I can
While
vamp if
we
you
do
want.
this. I mean, I just need, it's good. This podcast episode is going to be a work in progress, an experiment. It's a preview of our future of Prestige Junkie After Party,
Yeah,
which
why
we
don't we talk
plugged
about that
before
again,
I went
Katey?
into
Because
into the
we were
dark.
we were fritzing out, but we had a great
Yes.
announcement, a Prestige
I
Junkie After
know.
Party.
Yeah, for those of you just joining us, we're launching Prestige Junkie After Party.substack.com. You can go there and subscribe now. It's going to be a subscriber only bonus to this very podcast and the newsletter that you are used to reading. It's going to come out. We're going to have video episodes of this podcast itself, including our talent interviews with hopefully some of these Emmy nominees we're discussing now. Bonus episodes on Fridays, including Substack Lives, bonus podcast episodes, Oscar history deep dives, weird predictions. We might go item by item through the Telluride lineup. There's so much stuff that we're going to do. So it's going to be $5 a month, $50 a year. If you are one of the first 10 subscribers, you get an ankler hat, which I enjoy my ankler hat. I'm curious
I
of
asked
yours
for
as
one. I'm
well.
hoping I get one in the mail. I don't have one yet.
You need to get to LA so you can get yourself an ankler hat. So anyway, yes, Prestige Junkie After Party, go to there.substack.com, subscribe now. Yeah, I'm realizing that we may not have the audio from what we just talked about in the regular podcast episode. So apologies to anybody who's hearing that. But do you want to talk about the supporting limited categories, which I was realizing I had so much emotionally writing on Jenny Slate getting that supporting nomination, and she got it. Thank goodness, in the supporting actress in a limited series category.
Well, this was chaos a little bit as well for supporting actors. Erin Doherty gets in. This one is actually fine. The actor one was more chaotic, I would say.
Yes.
But so Erin Doherty gets in for Adolescence. Ruth Negga for Presumed Innocent, which was a surprise. But I'll get to more Presumed Innocent later.
They just loved Presumed Innocent.
I am
man.
thrilled by this because I really loved it. It was so much fun. It was one of my favorite shows, and I felt like it was just out of sight, out of mind. But no, great job. Deidre O'Connell for The Penguin, Chloe Sevigny for Monsters, Jenny Slate for Dying for Sex, and Christine Trimarco for Adolescence.
Yeah. I mean, that is basically all of the nominees you could expect from Adolescence. I saw Ashley Walters got in for supporting actor alongside Owen Cooper, who, again, is just going to mop the floor with everybody. When they were announcing the lead actress in Limited, which we talked a little about earlier, I got kind of nervous because Michelle Williams is at the end of the alphabet, and I, saw enough surprises in there. But she and Jenny Slate and Rob Delaney all made it in for that show, which I loved so much. And I feel like got kind of overlooked in the, adolescence mania of the spring in some way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And then for actor and supporting actor, this is where I was just like, hell yeah. So Javier Bardem gets in. Like you said, Owen Cooper probably going to win. Bill Camp for Presumed Innocent, just a delight. He was so fantastic on Presumed Innocent.
Did he win
just a great
Emmy
nomination
for that show with Riz Ahmed a while ago? The you know what I'm
The
talking
Night Of.
about? Yeah, I feel like no, he was not. It looks like he was nominated.
He was nominated for actually
not
something
win.
else recently. Let me see. I'm
According
Googling
to
this
IMDb,
live.
he has one. I'm glad that Bill Camp has been our first IMDb deep dive that we've done while talking about all of this.
No, he was nominated for Night Of. He was.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Anyway, good to see Bill Camp back at it.
And then,
okay.
Oh no, I closed the page. No, here it is. This is great. Rob Delaney for Dying for Sex, which I know you were thrilled by, and Peter Sarsgaard, which we talked about for Presumed Innocent, which is
it's
great.
True.
He's so smarmy on that show. Just a wonderful performance. And Ashley Walters for Adolescence. So again, this is great. I just love this. But this was a weird year for limited series. There weren't a lot of them, and I do think like this ended up being like, what did I watch as an Emmy voter? And then just vote for that. So they watched Presumed Innocent. It's a show they remembered, and then they just voted for it in a bunch of places.
Although it also makes me wonder if they watch Presumed Innocent and then they're like, oh, what other limited series existed? What else did Apple put on? Which is how Cate Blanchett gets in for Disclaimer, which did it get nominated for series? I think she's that show's only nomination. Yes. And then also Brian Tyree Henry for Dope Thief, which I talked about last week. And I had so much hope for. Wagner Moura, sorry, but you'll probably get an Oscar nomination, so I'm not too worried about you. I was just delighted to see Brian Tyree Henry get in there.
I love seeing Tyree Henry get in there as well. He was, again, the past Emmy, in there for Atlanta, obviously, and Oscar nominee. He's great, and he was campaigning. I do think that matters. Like, it does matter to be like, I'm here. I want an Emmy nomination, and that helps. Disclaimer got 2 nominations. It had Cate Blanchett and cinematography for a limited series.
Yeah, the PDF
and I know
where
that
you
was
can just
like
search by show title is very, very
helpful. And Dope Thief just has the one. So Brian Tyree Henry is basically this year's Lily Gladstone, who was nominated
this year's Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway, as in showing
Causeway, or Robert Downey Jr. for a show that they probably didn't really watch, but they like the actor, and then
they like the actor, and he got out there for it, as you said. Which I'm wondering, like, so I just searching through my PDF to bounce back lead actors in a comedy series. Like, was that the secret to Uzo Aduba getting in there for The Residents, a show that has been canceled? Netflix is not renewing it, even though I thought it was really good. Let's see, is she the only nominee for The Residents? She may very well be. Oh no, it got 4 nominations. It got her and main title theme music, production design. It rebuilt the White House is really an incredible production design, and special visual effects in a single episode, which I did not know was a category. So anyway, how do you explain Uzo Aduba in that I think pretty surprising nomination?
Definitely surprising, but again, she's a 3-time Emmy winner. The Emmys love her, and that's kind of how she gets in. I feel a lot of these are like that to me, where it's like, oh, this is a person they're familiar with, and they're gonna go to bat for that person, basically.
Yeah. Although, I would have said the same thing about Allison Janney and The Diplomat, and did not make it into that bloodbath.
Allison Janney missed supporting actress in a drama series. She was in 2 episodes of The Diplomat. There was talk of whether she could go guest then or supporting actress, so it was up to her basically. And went supporting actress. Everyone expected her to get in, and then she snubbed.
And because presumably she'll be on more of next season, because spoiler for Diplomat is that she is the president of the United States as of the next season. So I guess she's only in 2 episodes, so like maybe next season is her opportunity.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I gotta say, like, I was worried going into not worried, because how can you worry about this in real life? But I was concerned that they were going to nominate someone like Meryl Streep, no disrespect to Meryl Streep, for Only Murders, who was in like 2 episodes, and get nominated for supporting actress in a comedy, because she would have to run there because of these arcane Emmys rules that I won't go into deeply.
Do you think they're
arcane,
now. Or do you think they're just preventing Claire Foy from winning?
I mean, I think they did it for that, but I don't think it's like perfect. I think they did it for that reason, but I don't think it's a perfect choice.
Thing. I'm looking in the comments. I know we're just really bouncing around all over the place. I don't know how else to do it. But Carol asked about Poker Face Anywhere and then whether it was eligible, which is a tricky thing because it aired in a weird way. But some of its episodes were eligible. And Cynthia Erivo did get a nomination for a truly incredible performance in the first episode of the season, which I thought was terrific. Did we go through the guest actress comedies? I know we talked about the actors playing themselves, but
no, actually, and I have so many pages open now. I've lost it, Katey. Do you have it there?
Okay, let me just. Yeah, I have it through here. So we've got Olivia Colman and Jamie Lee Curtis back for The Bear, which fine.
Okay, Olivia Colman's great in The Bear.
But she's also like barely in it, right? Like,
she's in the finale, and she's like just a warm presence. And Jamie Lee Curtis,
we love Olivia Colman, and so Cynthia Erivo, Robbie Hoffman got nominated for Hacks. So good on Hacks as Randy, the oddball assistant. Wild seeing that like Meg Stalter and Paul Downs don't get it, but Robbie Hoffman does. That's weird Emmy categories for you. Zoe Kravitz as herself, terrific. And Julianne Nicholson as Tanya's mom for Hacks. So, we were talking about Hacks and whether or not its nominations total was maybe showing it weakening, but that's 2 strong nominations for Hacks right there.
Those are great nominations and making it all the more confounding that like Paul Downs doesn't get in. I guess, I mean, I don't know.
It's just a numbers game, right? It's just
it is a little bit of a numbers game, but I just feel like he was so great, and it's disappointing that he didn't get in. Like we talked about Meg Stalter, I feel like that character is a little more polarizing than other.
We talked about that.
So like that, Robbie Hoffman getting in is great. They're so funny, and Julianne Nicholson is great. That category then missed people like Melissa McCarthy for Only Murders. Would have been
Molly Shannon, Only Murders.
Yeah, and so interesting.
Sorry. My computer keeps trying to steal my audio, and which is why I keep jumping off, and it's messing up my GarageBand recording. And sorry, oh my God, stop! Hang on, I'm so sorry to Brad, our producer, who's maybe still listening to us. What a mess my audio is going to be from this. Okay,
so that was guest actress, right? And guest actor in a comedy you already mentioned was like the studio just times 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then John Bernthal for The Bear.
Yeah, that feels about right? Oh, guess we didn't look at the guest actress in a drama series or guest actor in drama series.
Well, I know you're going to be excited for one of these, or maybe 2.
Well, hang on. I'm on actress right now, and I'm seeing that Gwendolyn Christie and Merritt Weaver made it in for Severance, which I am delighted by. I don't have strong opinions on The Last of Us and The Handmaid's Tale, but I do feel like we said, watch out for The Handmaid's Tale. That show gets nominations, and here's Cherry Jones nominated for The Handmaid's Tale. I do think we thought Elizabeth Moss was coming in for drama actress, and that did not happen.
I mean, Sharon Horgan gets in for drama actress. Having looked at this and like talked about this, I have not talked to a single person on earth who even suggested Sharon Horgan as a dark horse contender, and yet there she was for Bad Sisters, a show that is liked, but I mean, again, kind of like lost in the thing. But I think Sharon was a past nominee, obviously, for Bad Sisters, and that just might be a case of like, like just again, like defaulting to what they know. No disrespect to Melanie Linsky, I guess, and Elizabeth Moss, both of whom have been nominees before. So I don't know how Sharon Horgan got in, but I didn't hear one person talking about it. All right, that was a pretty big surprise. If you predicted Sharon Horgan, good for you.
Yeah. Okay. So guest actor on drama series was what you were teasing. That of all the other actors on Andor who we nominated, Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera is not who I would have picked. No offense to Forrest Whitaker, but Stellan Skarsgård is sitting right there. But I am, Andor popping up where it does, including in like best drama series. Let's see, how many nominations total did Andor get? Oh yeah, it got a ton of nominations. In writing, in visual effects and sound, a lot of technical stuff. So clearly they're watching this show. I don't know why that means they can't nominate Diego Luna, but Alan Tudyk got nominated for being K2SO, which is great, and voice actor. So yeah, I justice for Andor forever. It deserves more. But oh my God, Nicholas Britell and Tony Gilroy are sharing a nomination for the We Are the Gore. Oh, I see Andy is commenting as well that they got that nomination. Wonderful. What a great song.
Absolutely great.
Yeah, let's see. I got to open up a different spreadsheet.
Well, the other thing, a guest actor that I was like kind of blown away by is Giancarlo Esposito gets in for The Boys. Again, Giancarlo Esposito, you talked about this, I think, in your column too.
Yeah,
for The Residents.
I thought he might get in there.
You were right on the right track, though, because, like, again, a guy they are familiar with and love and have nominated several times. And then it's like he got nominated, obviously, for Mandalorian, too, where it was just like they're just checking his. You know what I mean? It's just like they love Giancarlo Esposito.
On there. Like, is Giancarlo Esposito on there somewhere this year? Done. Andor got 14 nominations, which is the same amount as Hacks and more than Adolescence or The Bear or The Pit. So, okay, all right. I'll stand down on Andor. Deserved more, but it still did pretty well.
Good for you. I think that's great.
Good for me.
I just want to look at a couple of other ones for direct. These were directing in a comedy series and drama series. I was just looking at briefly.
All right. I'm looking these up. Io DeBerry, congratulations, nominated for directing The Bear.
So amazingly, the only directing nomination for The Bear. That's fantastic. Like, because Chris Thor obviously submits for. I would imagine he submitted the finale. And Io submitted for Napkins, which is the big Liza Clone Zayas episode, which we knew Liza Clone Zayas would get in, and John Bernthal would get in probably for that episode. And then Io is nominated for directing, which is great.
Yeah.
Luciano Yellow.
No multiple episodes. I don't know. I don't remember which shows might have submitted multiple. I guess The Bear did. I don't know if Hacks of the Studio did, but just one show for each.
I think The Bear, Hacks definitely just submitted one. And I think the studio also did just the one, because it's a strategy that we kind of talked about, I think, when we were doing this a while back. But like, you don't want to oversubmit because then you maybe miss.
Yeah.
So Io DeBerry gets in for The Bear. Luciano Yellow for Hacks, which is great. James Burrows for Mid-Century Modern. Another person you clocked that we would get in.
Well, it's because of this weird rule about the directing category. There has to be a multi-camera comedy in that lineup, which is a very smart way for these like veteran TV directors to make sure they don't get totally boxed out by prestige TV. So, the woman who's been nominated for the last couple of years for the Miss Pat show, that show wasn't eligible this year. So James Burrows, TV legend, makes perfect sense.
Nathan Fielder, a nominee. Congratulations to the Nathan Fielder stands.
I did kind of. I think I read about this too, that it felt like the rehearsal was kind of cresting in some way, and I think actor in a comedy series nomination for Nathan Fielder was probably a bit of a stretch, but that's a great pick for that show.
So great. And then Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg for the studio for the Warner episode, which is
who are
great.
Just gonna win, right?
It seems like I mean, based on these nominations, I would say the studio is the favorite in comedy series to win, and Severance could be is the favorite in drama series, and it depends. Can Apple win both of those categories, assuming Adolescence will win again for Netflix, which would be its third consecutive limited series win after Baby Reindeer and Beef. But I could see The Pit again. The Pit did not do anything here to make me think that it's not also a strong contender. It got for drama series directing. You have Andor, like you mentioned, for Janice Metz, Amanda Marsalis, and John Wells, both for The Pit. for the 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. hours. Jessica
I guess 7
Gagne,
a.m. is the pilot, right?
I think, yes.
Yeah.
And then 6 p.m. I think is the
That's
mesh.
one of the mesh shoot. Yeah. Mana Rosales, who I've talked to a couple times, she was part of a big panel we did at DGA. Is great. She's a producer on the show. She's a big part of it. So those two make sense as the ones that single out from the pit.
Definitely. Jessica Gagne for Severance directed the Chikai Bardo episode, which is the Dick and Lockman episode. She did not get nominated, which I was kind of like, maybe she could have gotten in.
Yeah.
But she was really only but that episode was really beloved. So I'm not surprised.
And that's the first thing she's ever directed. She's been the DP for the series from the very beginning. So, and I also talked to her. She's really fascinating. And yeah, she and Ben Stiller kind of are the two-headed creative team behind this. Cold Harbor is not the episode I would single out from the season. So I wonder if that means that Jessica Lee Gagne could win this. But I don't know, Ben Stiller is such a name attached with that show.
So, and then Slow Horses, Adam Randall, and then Mike White for the White Lotus. I mean, what if the Pit and Severance split and Mike White just wins again?
That would be wild. Because Mike White has won this category at least once.
I think he's definitely won it when it was limited series. He probably didn't win it for season 2 because it was against...
Because Shogun won everything?
Or no, Succession. He was up against...
Oh, sure. Okay.
And then let me see what else that was interesting.
So, I mean, directing for limited series, Adolescence just has one episode in there. It doesn't even list an episode title, which it does for all the other ones. So I don't really know how that works.
So for a limited series, if one person directed all for everything, it's just the one.
See.
And then if it's the individual episode. So the Penguin has 2 different directors for 2 different episodes.
Right. And Leslie Linka Glotter is credited for all of Zero Day because she directed all those episodes.
So she got in, obviously.
And Sirens there again.
Great. And then I was looking at writing. So Abbott Elementary gets in for Quinta Brunson episode. The penultimate episode for Hacks gets in, Slippery Slope, which was their best one. Nathan Fielder again for writing for The Rehearsal, which must have really, really just missed series. Same with Somebody Somewhere, also there, and Seth Rogen for The Studio.
And then What We Do with the Shadows.
So Know the Bear in writing. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I feel like we really have to readjust our priors about what it takes to get an Emmy nomination in your last season. Because I feel like we've been saying with Somebody Somewhere this whole time, it's no Schitt's Creek. It's not growing the way Succession did. It would be so nice if it got recognized. But it popping in here, I don't know if that's the writing category being smaller, but then Jeff Hiller getting it. I don't know how to account for it. It's really exciting, but it does defeat a lot of my preconceived notions about how these categories work.
I think it matters, I'm contradicting a lot of things that I've said previously, but I do think it matters that the show is the show has to, a lot of times they're lazy, the voters, and they'll name check somebody we talked about, and that's just the way it is. But if the show is good, I think they often do want to sell Somebody Somewhere. The people who watched it really responded to that season, the final season, and they responded in kind. If you look at something like we talked about, how will The White Lotus and more likely The Last of Us be received, because that second season, The Last of Us, not everybody's fave, right? It was kind of, people were disappointed with it, either because, I'm going to spoil this again, but you should know already, because they killed off Pedro Pascal. Katey went dark on that. She doesn't want to be a party to this. So they killed off Pedro Pascal, and there's the direction.
I'm so mad about Pedro Pascal.
and so there were people who were not really responding to that season yet. Again, like I said, the first season got writing and directing nominations up to a lot of guest actors all over the place. This season, no writing nomination for The Last of Us and no directing nominations for The Last of Us. That's that's a real shock. That's just cross it off in terms of
technical
winning.
Show.
Yeah, but if you had any illusions that it was going to actually win series, which maybe you didn't, now you could really say it's not, because it doesn't have any of those nominations, which I find crazy.
Not to jump too far ahead, because we're going to be able to have to talk about what's going to win for a while, but I had this confidence being the Pit's going to sneak up and going to win drama series. I know everyone thinks Severance is the one, but the Pit is so beloved. But that nomination total for Severance is pretty compelling.
Yes, it is incredibly compelling. 27 nominations are a lot, and it got in a lot of places and a lot of actors, which means that's a great well of support. But I would say this, we saw literally just last year, and I think it's different. Severance versus The Pit reminds me a lot of The Bear versus the White Lotus. The Bear versus Hacks. And I do think that you could be this overwhelming nominations total, and we're going to be even on the night, Severance could win a bunch of awards, but maybe in the end, you're going to vote for what you love. And I know people love The Pit, right? They just responded to it at a base, like, emotional level. And while Severance is great, and the people who love Severance, the fans are out in force all the time, I do think it's not as beloved as The Pit. So we'll see how that plays out. I think
Yeah.
if it won, it wouldn't be a shock, but I could see The Pit kind of winning on emotion.
Yeah, and Leslie Goldberg, our colleague, commenting that, like, The Pit is so emblematic of what the streamers are trying to do right now is make shows that are more like broadcast. Like, it feels like it is the future of TV and that it is the past of TV, which is a theme we'll probably be seeing a lot over the coming years. So, like, there are a lot of people in town who want shows like that are filmed in LA, that have a ton of episodes, that don't have weird contract deals where you don't get paid the same amount. Like, there's all this business reasons for shows like The Pit to want to thrive. And as you keep saying, the Emmys are a really LA industry group, unlike the Oscars. So, like, something like that could be really relevant.
Yeah, and in terms of comedy, I do think the studio probably has the advantage, right? Even though it's like, just because while Hacks has a great narrative and won last year, um, we'll see. I did some of those missed nominations, like Paul Downs missing, feels to me like not ideal in terms of its win potential, but we'll see.
Yeah, really interesting. I'm kind of bouncing around through categories again because there's always some of those funny ones where you don't know where people are going to show up. Like I mentioned, Alan Tudyk nominated in character voiceover performance for K2SO. Maya Rudolph is showing up there again for Big Mouth. She cannot not get nominated. Jeffrey Wright is on What If, the Marvel show, it turns out, and is nominated for that. Stephen Yeun's nominated for something called Invincible. Don't know what that is.
Amazon show, I believe, right?
Sure. And Julie Andrews for Bridgerton, character voice and
Great.
performance. Great job. Performer in a short form comedy or drama series is 3 of the nominees are for the Kevin Hart show Die Hart. That's on the Roku channel. I should watch that. I would be interested to know what that is. The reality host competition program, I guess, does not quite exactly match up with the reality series nominees because the Sharks of Shark Tank are nominated, but I think Alan Cumming's just going to win that again. Good for you, Chris and Kish. That's great. What other categories do you like singling out here?
I was trying to look for music, actually, but it's again, there's so many categories here. Let me see if I can, and then so many tabs, Katey. I have multiple Dropbox links. The pulled behind the curtain is they send a link with a bunch of links, basically, and anybody could look at this, but it's a lot of fun to see by category. And the other thing I was trying to figure out is nominations by network. I have nominations by show, and now I'm looking for network. And off the top of my head, I would say, not a great day for Prime Video, Amazon, none of these above the line. I don't think it got a single nomination in drama, comedy, or limited series, even in acting. So that is like a real tough beat, I would say.
Okay, yeah. I was saying my sound is doing weird things again, so hopefully you can still hear me okay, right?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on. So I have it pulled off. Prime got 4 nominations for The Boys, including that oddball guest actor nomination. Etoile got 2 nominations for choreography and cinematography for a series 1 hour. Honestly, pretty big for you, Etoile. And then one-offs for I Am Celine Dion, Invincible, Rings of Power got 1 nomination. That is a lot of money. This is what Leslie Goldberg just commented. There's a lot of money for not much.
Really
something called Octopus! Exclamation mark.
That's the Phoebe, I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge voiced that. That's one of the only things that came out of her overall deal, I think.
Oh, sure. Classic. Then Pop Culture Jeopardy, our friend Jordan Hoffman, not nominated for
Jeopardy.
it.
Did Jordan get nominated? Congratulations.
Yeah, it would be very nice if he was he
didn't get nominated? That's what you're saying. Okay.
And then something called Secret Level, which I also don't know what that is. So yeah, Prime for how much they're spending. And then YouTube, I think, is worth pointing out. I've written a lot. Our colleague Natalie Jarvie has written a lot about how they're trying to, really make their way into the Emmy race. They got there are 3 nominations credited to YouTube, but all are for spinoffs of existing shows: Daily Show, The Rabbit Hole of Jimmy Kimmel, and The Tonight Show during commercial break. So, still, creators are just not being welcomed into the Emmys, which I find strange, but maybe not surprising.
It was this point. I really liked Michelle Carey. I talked to her. I think you did probably too. And I thought it was really cool. Maybe next time. There is definitely a bias, I feel like, for those kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I think continually these short form categories at the Emmys where you get nominations for things like, Jimmy Kimmel's like behind the scenes thing, or like, weird like web series about, or like, okay, outstanding short form nonfiction or reality series, Only Murders in the Building, Unlocking the Mystery. Like, that is not a thing. That is not as relevant to the world as Hot Ones or any of the other YouTube shows. So it's, at some point they're going to have to catch up and do something realistic with this.
Hopefully.
Oh, as I scroll through it, Will and Harper, an award season fave for us from Oscar season last year, rudely left off the short list for the Academy. Nominated for Outstanding Documentary Nonfiction Special alongside Martha, which also I think qualified for Oscars. Sly Liz, which is just really good and was always a TV movie. So that documentary category, the rule where you can submit for an Oscar, but if you don't get nominated, you can try to get an Emmy instead, is strange, but okay.
Really tough. Let me see what else. Yeah, I don't know. We'll go through this, Katey. I'm sure we'll have many other things that stand out. Interview with the I'm just scrolling through. Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. I know people were high on that show. A lot of the fans are passionate. Just 2 nominations: hairstyling and a fantasy and sci-fi show, and makeup, non-prosthetic. So,
and the only nominations at all for A.
Oh, Katey, you broke up there. What were you saying there, Katey? It broke up.
I know. I'm having trouble getting my computer not to try to steal my AirPods, which is why this keeps happening. And which is why we need to Substack Live differently in the future. But I think I'm back for now. I think we're close to wrapping up anyway. I was just saying that Interview with the Vampire just got those 2 nominations. That's it for AMC, which is not a surprise, but like AMC used to own this stuff.
Yeah. 4 seasons, only 1 nomination just for Coleman Domingo.
Wow.
No writing, no nothing else.
That is
That felt like, again, like it feels like it just was a little late. You know, you look at like Nobody Wants This by comparison had 3 nominations only, lead actor, actress, and comedy series. But
yeah, I mean, it would have done well with some supporting noms or writing or something like that. But that's it's gonna have time to grow in a second season, I bet.
I think so.
I'm being reminded that Pachinko, Apple's very expensive, really good period show, was eligible this year and was nominated in 2 categories: cinematography and production design. So good morning for Apple, but they can't all be winners, I guess.
No, they can't.
Your Friends and Neighbors getting only that main title theme music nomination is a little rude. Not to keep going back to it.
We'll see how they do. I'll be curious to see how they pivot to the second season. We'll have Emmy nominee James Marsden, obviously, who was nominated for Paradise and also for Jury Duty. Yeah. So he's in the cast with John Hamm. I could see, and they're shooting it now, I could see them maybe changing the release schedule for that. And like if they put it out in January, maybe instead of like Paradise is out in January, right? And like has a lot of run. Like that's like a real sweet spot because then you have time to get into the cultural conversation if you're good enough, and then gives people time to watch it and kind of build. Saw that with The Pit, saw that with Paradise. These later shows, even in May, end of April, May, is really tough, I think, to get the visibility needed, even on the top platforms. Like Netflix.
And Paradise being what we're talking about with like streamers trying to make network shows. Like that's a perfect example of it as well. I'm scrolling through some more on the FX. Did you see that Say Nothing got 1 nomination for writing and that's it?
So it's funny, it had the WGA nomination last year or earlier this year, I guess. And it was like in the Winter Awards, it was like, oh, that's interesting. And part of the reason why I thought maybe it would get in for series was because of the writers, maybe would push it through. But no, it just stuck with that 1 writing nomination. That just shows me that like the broader Academy did not watch this show, but the writers did and they loved it.
It's just wild. Like FX had such a huge year last year, and I think nobody thought it was going to be quite the same for this time, but it is just a huge shift for them. I haven't looked at how like HBO and Netflix's numbers compared this year.
For some reason, that page is not loading for me, which is a real bummer because I feel like that would be of real interest to our audience. But
we'll get there. There is a newsletter coming out later today that I have to write as soon as we stop yapping. So we'll get there. But yeah, HBO obviously had a time. I mean, Dune Prophecy, snags 4 nominations somehow. Like there's all kinds of stuff. I don't think I realized Conan O'Brien's show was an HBO show, so good for them.
Pretty good. This is a good nominations, I would say.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. I feel like this, I was really rooting, I guess, for like Paradise and Andor the most deeply. I'm trying to think of I'm happy with the surprises that came in. I'm trying to think of snubs, maybe other than Sarah Polley in the studio, which I don't think she cares about at all. Like if I'm Sarah Polley, I'm like, whatever. But I cared. I'm trying to think if there's any other snubs that I'll feel angry about. Like I was really rooting for Taylor Dearden for The Pit, who I think is so wonderful in that. But that just feels like maybe in season 2 it's going to pull a Severance and get twice as many nominations. I don't know. Any snubs that are stinging you right now?
I mean, Taylor Dearden, I really thought could get in because I was going on the idea that her entire character makes you cry. Certainly, like I had that with Mackenzie Astin too, and I think Rebecca Tilney, who played the brother and sister of the man who was on Mr. Rogers and died. And I was like, oh, you're really going to tear up watching those, and that's an emotional connection. But no, didn't work. And Paul Downs is the biggest shock. I just love Paul Downs. I think he's so funny on Hacks, and the stuff he's doing on that show remains really great. And I was,
but he's
I don't
fine.
know.
He gets the series nomination. Did he?
Yeah,
he gets the writing nomination too, right? I didn't look at exactly.
He has the writing nomination, and he'll get obviously he has the nomination for series as
and he literally has an Emmy in his hand, multiple Emmys.
Multiple Emmys.
But he's doing okay.
You know
what's interesting? I don't know if this is much of a snub because I think the studio took a lot of that actors playing themselves energy, but I wonder when's the last time there were no guest actor nominations for SNL. I don't know that it's happened since SNL was eligible for the guest actor in the comedy category.
You went over this. I think it was honestly 2011 maybe was the last time. Let me see. Guest actor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look.
Bowen Yang is the only performer nominated for SNL.
So it continues to get that keeps it in the like you said, but like I'm trying to go back and guest actor. The last time I believe was 2011.
Yeah.
And that was Justin Timberlake won that year. So then you have to go back to 2010 when the nominees were Neil Patrick Harris for Glee, who won.
Yeah.
Trip down memory lane. Will Arnett and John Hamm for 30 Rock. Mike O'Malley for Glee. Eli Wallach for Nurse Jackie, and Fred Willard for Modern Family.
Man, we really had it all, didn't we?
It was the time.
Anyway, I kind of thought SNL would be really riding high off of the anniversary stuff. They got a ton of nominations, in all these technical categories, writing for variety, all this stuff. But yeah, the lack of hosts surprised me.
Yeah, honestly, much to the consternation of the internet, I assumed Dave Chappelle was going to get in again because he's gotten in previously, but he missed. And, Martin Short could have been here for a double nomination. He missed as a host. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, are we close to wrapping it up?
I think we could wrap it up, Katey. I guess we'll see. What else? Do you want to do another plug for After Party?
Yeah, I absolutely do want to do another plug for After Party. So we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to write the newsletter that's going to go out to everybody. This will go out as a podcast episode. Hang on. Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back. This is going to go out as a podcast episode that will sound hopefully fine, despite my computer trying to kill me and make terrible audio choices. We're going to get better at this. We've got ways to make Substack Lives happen through our podcasting platform, make all this sound good, which we will need because the Prestige Junkie After Party is launching August 1st. We're going to have Substack Lives, bonus podcast episodes, video versions of this podcast, the full ones that you cannot see anywhere else. Access to live events. We want to have some merch in the future. We might have some games to play in the future. I think we have a lot of ideas and we're trying to keep it small from what we're starting with. So what we guarantee you is a video episode every week and a bonus episode every Friday. What you might get beyond that, who knows? Chris and I had spent our days like arguing about the best actor lineup of 1998, and we're gonna bring that to you.
So great.
Who won Best Actor in 1998? That wasn't Kevin Spacey. It was the year before that.
So it was 97 movies. So it would have been.
Oh no, I was thinking of 98 movies. So this is the debate we can have of whether you should call it the 98 Oscars or the 97 Oscars because I feel like SEO is one of many things that SEO has ruined in this world.
That year was Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful.
Wow. Okay, see, that's a debate. That is our future debate about is it time to revisit Life is Beautiful. I know that's what
I'm going to say no, but I don't know if that one aged very well. Probably.
And we'll have obviously plenty more Emmy stuff to talk about too. I think Emmys Phase 2 is going to be really interesting. It's always a little bit quieter than Phase 1. I'll be out in LA for some of our events that we have planned already. So there will be a lot to talk about, and festival season's right around the corner. You're going to be in Telluride. I'm going to be in Toronto. Who knows? We might pop up at Venice one of these days. I think both of us have to like get our kids the first day of school, but other than that, we would like to go to Venice.
Other than that, it's great.
We want to talk about kids programming. Like if you want to hear our hot takes on Elena Avalon.
And how about K-pop Demon Hunters, my absolute fave. You're back, Katey. It went off for a second and you're back. Now you're muted, though. And your internet connection's unstable. So I guess it's a good time to wrap up. I can't hear you, Katey. I'm sorry. But K-pop Demon Hunters is great. I'm sure Katey would say the same. And the music is good. And we'll talk about that in our Prestige Junkie After Party. So you should really try to sign up if you can. It's great. We have emails going out. Keep an eye out for that later. And We still can't hear you, Katey. Nothing. I can't hear you at all. It's a thumbs down on that, but a thumbs up for this broadcast. And we can sign off. So that's it. Goodbye. See you guys later.